today we have Mr. Messina as our guest today to introduce us about his life experiences and perspectives on immigrant-related stuff. So he was born in France and raised in France, and went to pursue international law first in Paris, and then came to the U.S. to study economics, and eventually ended up with a cybersecurity job that's government related. So very interesting experiences, and we'll get into it today. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
To get started, can you introduce us about your experiences?
Sure. I was born in France, as you said, many years ago, 1974 to be exact. I was lucky because in life you have to be lucky, right? You have to have the luck to be born in the right place, to be surrounded by the right people who are going to to really set you on the path that you're going to take. And that's the case for all of us, right? We are really the fruit of the environment in which we lived.
Yes.
Some chance encounters are going to improve, hopefully, where you started, but you have to be lucky already in regards to the place where you were born. So I was born around a family that gave me a lot of love. That's the first thing. And then also they introduced me to knowledge. Yeah, such that even today, the most important things about me are always the pursuit of knowledge and then the pursuit of duty. And then when we talk about the jobs, I really thought about my jobs, the career that I pursued as in terms of how can I be helpful to other people? How can I be helpful to the people around me? How could I be helpful to people in the world that I didn't know, but that were facing situations that I felt needed addressed? So my parents really led me to understand that knowledge, schooling, or whatever gift that nature gave you made only useful to you if you use it to help other people. So I studied international law at first. That's because born in France is a powerful country, a country really the birthplace of diplomacy, but a country that really touched a lot of other countries around the world, in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America. I felt that there was a way for me to learn what the French have learned for hundreds of years in terms of how you relate to other people who are not necessarily from your own culture, but also how you make the world in which we live more peaceful, more just, right? Because both are related. And then I went to study international relations, but that's really because I was interested in international development. So that's what I did for a long time. Started with small projects. I was a lot in Africa. I traveled all over the place. Went sometimes in little places, like your most random village to implement projects, and you learn so many things, right? One example that really sticks with me is that we go to some village in Mali, and the idea was to implement clean water, right? So we go to those places where people have to travel, where women really have to travel 10, 15 miles a day to get water. And we came with the idea that, well, if you have a well right next to the village, right, it will save these poor women 15 miles a day of walking and all the hardship that you could imagine in the climate.
Time,
Where it's very hard, right? And time and all these things. So we then have these wells, and then we observed, right? Because that's what we were doing. We implement a project, and then we had to write reports and say we have this many people, and this has changed, and this is how you improve their life and everything. But we realized some interesting things. Number one, a lot of people didn't like to drink the water that we provided, which we thought was much cleaner, much more safe, and all the things, the water that you used to have. Right?
It's a taste.
It's taste.
Okay.
It's mostly taste. Because people will walk 15 miles, but they will get water from a river that has clay and all of those things. And the water tastes sweet. Right?
Okay.
So you come with the idea that good water should not have color, odor, or taste, right? And then people drink that water and they said, this tastes like nothing, and I don't want to drink it. So that was the first thing. But much more important is that we realized at some point that the women that we thought we were helping by having these wells right by the village were not very much helped, such that maybe actually we created a different problem than the one they had before, but which made them lose some of the freedom that they had. Right? For example, they walk 15 miles every day, let's say, back and forth to get to the well. Usually women will go in a group of 5, 6, 10, right? It was actually, believe it or not, maybe the only free moment that they had during the day. So when they walk in to go to the well to get water and come back, they could unwind, they could talk to other women, they could do all kinds of things. They could even exchange information. My child was sick last week and I used this particular medicine and it worked. Oh, my child has the same symptoms, so maybe that I should try that too. So that type of things was happening, right? And then when you create that well right by the village, now all the men know they only have to go out for 5 minutes. And you think that you save them, I don't know, 2 hours of time that they used to walk to the well? No. Now they have all other things to do at home, right? So in that sense, we realize, wow, those externalities that we talk about in economics, right? Those things that you didn't really anticipate, right? You need to really include them and think, again, what I was talking a moment ago about how human beings behave. Because otherwise your theory might be very beautiful, but when you actually meet the human being, you realize that the remedy might sometimes be worse than the problem. That
the social structure is different.
Yes. So I learned things like that, right? And then I came here to the US, and really the main reason I came here was because I wanted to learn English. Yes, that was the main thing. I wanted to, to expand my mind, to challenge myself a little bit, to do something different than the travel around Europe and doing all of those things. But I really wanted to experience the culture where the mentality is different, where it's a bit more freer, where you have much more opportunity to actually challenge yourself. Because France is a very structured kind of society. Once you make a choice, like the choice I made to study international law, it becomes difficult for you, for example, to transition to something else, right? Because that's just the way that the culture thinks. The US really doesn't have that problem, right? So I really wanted to experience that, to learn English and all of those things. So I came here and I worked for a small organization that also had international projects, mainly in Africa and Latin America. But then I said to myself, I wanted to work for a bigger organization. So I worked for a company called DAI. It's one of the biggest government contractors in the area of economic development. I loved the job. I was responsible for the Southeastern Asia region. So I traveled between here and there, trying to take care of implementation problems that our teams on the field had. At some point I realized that I study law, but more and more I'm talking to people who have studied economics.
Oh, okay.
And they have something I don't have.
It's a different perspective.
Yes, they have something I don't have. They look at the world in a different way, and the perspective of the world is so all-encompassing that I decided at some point I want some of that. So that's how I decided to go back to school for a second master, but this time in economics.
It's not more for the knowledge and for careers, more for the perspective we're trying to incorporate. Okay.
Yes, because I believe in, as Martin Luther King said, that if your job is to sweep the street, you have to sweep the street as well, as beautifully as Michelangelo used to paint, right? Like you want to be good at what you're doing. That's because that's your life, really, right? That's what occupies your life. That's the story of your life you're writing. So I was bothered by the fact that I felt at some point that there was some insight that I didn't have in the job, in the work that I was doing. So that's really what motivated me to go to study economics. And it was an arduous road, and that's because I haven't done math well since, I don't know, 10th grade or something like that,
Okay.
right? As a lawyer, you don't need that, right? And then people tell me I have to take the GMAT. And I'm like, wow. And I go and take a reading and I realize, wow, the GMAT, half of it is math. So I really had to go back to 10th grade and educate myself all the way to be able to pass the exam and all of those things. So I was, for at least 8 months, like I was going to work and I always had my notebook with me, my math workbook, and I would, anytime I have 5 minutes, I would do an exercise.
Oh, wow.
That it becomes second nature, right? And then I was able to pass the GMAT. I was able to get admitted back to school. And the first day I arrived at Georgetown, first class, I said to myself, well, you may have beaten more than you can chew here. We can move.
It should be fine. If it gets louder, we'll move.
So because, well, my classmates, right, introduced yourself. They came from Harvard, they came from London School of Economics, they came from all of these nice places. And I felt, wow, maybe if I'm the second to last, it's going to be okay. But eventually, I became much more confident. I realized, no, you actually belong here. And I realized actually that going into law was not really what I was made for. And that's because my professor in finance, one of these days, called me to the side and said, "You told me that you studied what again?" And I said, "Oh, I went to law school." It's like, you should have studied finance. That's because you have the intuition and you understand those things better than all of these other guys in the class.
And you have the personality to do so. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but in any case, right? So
You do have it.
I really enjoyed it. I really learned a lot. I really felt that my role, because Georgetown, once again, is not very diverse, right? So you find yourself in places where sometimes you're the only person looking that way. But I always thought, oh, that's such an opportunity. And many times I had people coming to me and say, you know what, I'm so glad I took this class with you, because the perspective that you brought to the table, I would have never heard it otherwise, right? So that's really what I try to do in those classes, my time there, to actually bring to my classmates different perspective, right? You know, thinking differently and challenge me a little bit of the way that you were taught to think. So after that, I went back to and I worked a little bit again there. And at some point, we can move anytime you want.
Huh?
We can move anytime you
Sure,
want.
let's move.